From Channel 2 News, the 7 o'clock report with Carol Martin and John Tesh. Here again is Carol Martin.
Good evening. A pitched battle raged in a Brooklyn police station for a time today. It was community against cop as a protest grew into a wild battle right in the Borough Park precinct house. The whole thing sparked by the murder of an elderly man. Dorothy Reed was on the scene and she talked to one man injured in that fight.
Did they ask you to leave?
No, that pushing was all right, but when they started swinging, that was their way. That was the message. We're the commissioner. People would have.
It began as a demonstration at the 66th precinct for better police protection by a crowd of more than 1,000 angry residents, almost all Hasidic Jews. It turned into a bloody confrontation, and a state assemblyman was one of the victims.
We are not violent people. We're not armed. It's Shabbos. We would not have struck anyone with any weapons. They were in no danger. They were no physical danger for themselves.
It was the murder of an elderly man on his way home from synagogue last night which precipitated today's demonstration. Messengers spread the news to area synagogues.
They came and informed us of the murder which took place last night, and they also informed us that there was going to be a peaceful demonstration at the police precinct.
So everyone came right from synagogue?
Everyone came directly from synagogue with their talei sima.
Some 200 residents crowded into the precinct house to discuss the situation, and according to eyewitnesses, that's when things got out of hand.
Members of the community got excited. They started overturning file cabinets. They got on top of the desk here.
It was after file cabinets were overturned?
For an extended week, after a period of time and trying to reason, trying to calm the situation, I was literally carried out onto the stoop to try to speak, and then literally carried in. Me and the sergeant and the officer were engulfed in a mass of humanity here. We tried to restrain the situation. We used the maximum professional restraint that is possible in a situation like this.
The officers on duty at the precinct issued a 1013 police in distress call. At least 100 reinforcements came in to disperse the crowd. When did they start swinging from?
Outside. Right here they started. Right here they started. When they asked, I was simply asking to refrain. I was asking them to calm down and people to go home. People weren't in the mood to hear that, but the situation would have diffused itself automatically had the police officers not initiated the violence by forcibly evicting with billy clubs.
A spokesman for emergency medical services said 62 cops were injured, 38 of them transported to the... One had a heart attack and 8 received minor injuries. The Hasids claim that it was club-wielding cops who started the attack. As one injured officer was being wheeled out, the Hasids tried to identify him.
Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? Let's go to the lieutenant.
3 hours after the attack, the police had control of the precinct, but the crowd refused to leave. Mayor Koch came in and, after a short briefing, addressed the crowd. Irving Sussman has been identified as the man who was murdered last night. His murder led to today's protest. It was the appearance at the precinct of Mayor Koch this afternoon, his promise of better police protection, and a full investigation which caused the crowd to finally disperse. The police would offer no official response to the allegations laid against them today. They said it would be premature at this time, that the investigation into the melee is underway already. No one was arrested during or after the confrontation. Tonight, 72 people are nursing their wounds. There is anger on both sides, but order has been restored in the 66th precinct. John?
Good evening. I'm Marvin Scott, and this is the 10 o'clock weekend news. There was a violent clash between police and Hasidic Jews in the Borough Park section of Brooklyn today, and it all stemmed from the stabbing death shortly after midnight of 65-year-old Irving Sussman. The enraged Hasidic community claimed it took police some 45 minutes to arrive at the murder scene. Police later attributed the delay to the fact that the man who discovered the body could not speak English and had to search the area to find someone who could finally report the crime. Before that police explanation was offered, however, a couple of thousand of Hasidic Jews staged an angry protest in front of the local station house. John Miller picks up the story.
The demonstrators, almost all of them Hasidic Jews, had come to the 66th precinct to protest inadequate police protection. Leaders of the group had charged that police had been 45 minutes late responding to a murder in the neighborhood this morning. According to police, just before 1 o'clock, 250 Hasidim stormed the precinct and refused to leave. The 4 officers on duty inside the station house called for help. As reinforcement arrived, the trouble began. Among those who found himself in the center of that trouble was State Assemblyman Samuel Hirsch, who would help lead the demonstrators.
Stop swinging.
Inside the station house, the scene was chaos. Thousands of reports and summonses had been thrown over the desk and were all over the floor. A teletype machine had been destroyed. Still, officers were busy trying to keep hundreds of protesters outside the building. Officials of the top brass were called in from home and were trying to put together an explanation that made some sense. How did the trouble start? It depends who you ask.
Help. There was no one getting at all violent in here. People were just yelling, which would be standard at any demonstration. Okay, so police officers from the 70th, the TPPS, I forget what they are, came in here with drawn billy clubs and started shoving people.
There was a protest by the community, Jewish population, and they stormed the precinct. And this is the results of it.
When they started to shove people, people started yelling, hey, we're getting hit. Why are we getting hit? We shouldn't be getting hit, we're doing nothing. So they fought back.
Well, the fighting, there wasn't really a fight. What happened was when we got reinforcement in order to try to get the people out, then there was a little altercation between the policemen that was trying to move the crowd from the building, from the premises.
They weren't leaving on their own?
No, they had to be forced out of the building.
We were never ordered to leave. We were being very calm about it. The police officers behind this desk were being very calm about it. There was nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong at all.
Finally, just after 3 o'clock this afternoon, Mayor Koch arrived at the 66th precinct. After a short briefing from the top of the precinct stairs using a weak megaphone, he tried to calm the jeering crowd.
Come in, wherever it may be, and tear up the place. That's wrong.
The 66th precinct has quite a mess to clean up. As soon as that job is done, Mayor Koch promises the city will try and clean up some of the details surrounding what happened here at the 66th precinct this afternoon. He promised a thorough investigation. 38 cops were reported injured and 8 civilians. From Brooklyn, John Miller, Channel 5 News.
And since John filed that report, an emergency medical service official updated the figures of those injured. A total of 70 people hurt, 62 of them police officers. The majority of those injuries amounted to abrasions and bruises.